The Sobeys Stadium had been a fortress of noise for an entire week. 10,000 fans packed the stands, waving Philippine flags, chanting Alex Eala's name, and creating an atmosphere that tournament director Karl Hale had called unheard of for an early round session. The energy was electric. The love was undeniable. The Eala-mania sweeping the tennis world had turned Toronto into a celebration of Filipino pride. Then came Monday night. The packed stands had thinned to a fraction of their former glory. The deafening chants were replaced by polite applause. The flags that had covered the stadium like a blanket of red, white, and blue were nowhere to be seen. And the fans who did show up were left fuming. Alexandra Eala had left Toronto, and the city suddenly felt completely different. The National Bank Open final had arrived, but without Alex Eala, it felt like nobody cared. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Just days earlier, Eala's first-round match had sold out in 30 minutes. Now, the tournament's biggest moments were playing to empty seats. This is the story of how Alexandra Eala's exit triggered a fan revolt that left the tennis establishment scrambling, and how the city of Toronto will never forget what they witnessed. The moment Alexandra Eala walked off center court at Sobeys Stadium for the final time, she knew it would be her last appearance on that court for a while. The Filipino star had just dropped a 6-4, 6-0 decision to Swiss ace Belinda Bencic in their duel for a quarterfinal slot. The match had lasted just 73 minutes, a brutal end to what had been a sensational run over the last fortnight. But before she left, Eala took a moment to gaze at the crowd, waved, picked up her bags, and walked toward the exit. The fans gave her a roaring ovation, and Eala turned to march backwards, waving a few more times before finally walking off center court. I knew it was my last time, the last time that I was going to be out on that court for a while, Eala said after the match. Her voice carried the weight of the moment, the exhaustion, the disappointment, but also the overwhelming gratitude for what she had experienced. Despite the straight-set defeat, Eala refused to let the result overshadow what had been an unforgettable Canadian Open debut. Overall, a really good week. I am super happy with the run that I've had, she said. I'm going to try to recover and come back out hot. Eala's exit was not just the end of a tournament run. It was the end of a phenomenon that had transformed Toronto into a celebration of Filipino culture. The city had been gripped by what the media had dubbed Eala-mania, and when Eala left, the city felt emptier. To understand why Toronto felt so different after Eala's departure, you have to understand the phenomenon she had created. The scenes at Sobeys Stadium during Eala's matches were unlike anything the tennis world had ever witnessed. Tickets for Eala's first match sold out in under 30 minutes. Tournament organizers were forced to move her from the 2,800-seat grandstand court to the 10,000-seat center court because she had probably sold upwards of 5,000 tickets. The Filipino community in Toronto, numbering over 270,000 according to the 2021 census, had turned out in full force. It's the kind of noise that accompanies a Grand Slam win, and this is just the second round here in Toronto, play-by-play announcer Mark Pecci said on the WTA Tour World Television feed. At least a dozen large Philippine flags were draped over railings in boxes and the upper deck. Fans wore T-shirts with the words, "Fight, Believe, Represent." Even the food offerings got into the spirit. One vendor changed a dish from chicken teriyaki to a Filipino chicken adobo rice bowl in honor of Eala playing. The Filipino presence extended beyond the seats. A supporter wearing a blue dinosaur costume decorated with a Philippine flag became one of the tournament's unexpected social media attractions. Tournament director Karl Hale was left stunned. "We've never seen a player ranked outside the top 5 have this type of effect," he told CBC News. A sold-out Wednesday night this early in the tournament is really unheard of. Eala's fans weren't just showing up, they were transforming the tournament. Many of the fans attending Eala's matches had never been to a tennis tournament before. They weren't tennis fans, they were Eala fans. And when Eala left, so did they. The aftermath of Eala's defeat was immediate and devastating for the tournament's attendance. The final sessions, which should have been the crown jewel of the event, were played to far fewer spectators. The electric atmosphere that had defined the early rounds had vanished. The chants of "Let's go Alex" that had echoed through the stadium were replaced by the uncomfortable silence of empty seats. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Just days earlier, Eala's matches had been the hottest ticket in town. Now, the tournament's biggest moments were struggling to attract the same enthusiasm. The Eala effect had been a blessing, but it had also exposed a dependence that the tournament couldn't sustain. Without Eala, the fans simply weren't there. The sparse schedule drew outrage across social media. Fans accused organizers of prioritizing ticket sales over match quality. The backlash was intense, and the empty stands at the final sessions seemed to confirm the critics' fears. Without Eala, the tournament couldn't sustain its momentum. Even the players noticed the difference. Coco Gauff, who had advanced to the quarterfinals, had been anticipating a potential showdown with Eala that would have packed the stadium. Instead, she faced Bencic in an atmosphere that was noticeably quieter. "I think what she's doing for the sport of tennis is great," Gauff had said of Eala. "I think she's a great role model for people to look up to." But even Gauff's praise couldn't fill the void left by Eala's absence. The tournament had lost its star attraction, and the energy that had defined the week had gone with her. Despite the devastation of her defeat, Eala refused to take sole credit for the explosion of Filipino pride around the tournament. She offered a striking description of her place within the Filipino community that revealed the depth of her humility. "I'm kind of just like a drop in the ocean, you know, when it comes to Filipinos and their pride for their culture and where they come from," Eala explained. "I do a lot to kind of represent my country, and I'm very proud of it. But you see, the stadium was full of people who do the same thing, right? So I guess that just shows you what kind of a community we are, and what kind of people we are, and how supportive we are of each other." The words were powerful and deeply emotional. Eala was not just thanking her fans. She was celebrating her identity, her heritage, and the community that had embraced her with such passion. She saw herself as a symbol of a larger movement, a representative of a community that had shown up in unprecedented numbers to support one of their own. But the reality was that Eala had become the catalyst for something far larger than herself. She had turned a tennis tournament into a celebration of Filipino culture. She had inspired a generation of young Filipinos to dream without limits. And she had proven that the love of a community could transform even the most traditional sport. "She's being branded as the next Pacquiao," said Danilo Baluyat, the executive director of Toronto's Taste of Manila event. And the comparison was apparent. Just as the boxing legend had drawn massive Filipino crowds to arenas around the world, Eala was now doing the same, in a sport that had never seen anything like it. As Eala left Toronto, she carried with her the love of a nation. Her farewell to the Filipino fans was a powerful message of gratitude and determination that left no doubt about her intentions. "Maraming salamat mga kababayan," Eala said in Tagalog, thanking Filipinos in Toronto and Washington for cheering, praying, and even staying awake late at night to follow her matches. "Thank you so much, my fellow Filipinos, for everything you did for me this week here in Toronto and Washington, and for everything you always do for me. You're always supporting me, always praying for me, and always staying up late. So I'll continue working hard. Thank you." Her acknowledgement of fans staying awake carried particular meaning. Eala's North American matches often begin late at night or early in the morning in the Philippines, but that has not stopped supporters from following her rapid ascent. Eala revealed that she planned to take a short break before the Cincinnati Open, a key tune-up for the U.S. Open. "I need to get a haircut. I haven't gotten a haircut in a while. My nails are grown out. So, yeah, I'll do a couple things just to get my mind off tennis." But even in her exhaustion, Eala's focus was already on the future. "I'm taking the lessons that I've had from these 2 weeks and hopefully implementing them even more and in a better way in Cincinnati and New York," she said. The message was clear. Eala would be back. Stronger, better, more determined than ever. Toronto had been a chapter in her journey, a chapter that had ended, but a chapter that had changed everything. The city of Toronto would not forget what they had witnessed. The flags, the chants, the love, all of it would remain etched in memory. And when Eala returns, the city will be ready to welcome her back with open arms.